Welcome back to the House of Wisdom. In our previous episode, we witnessed the masterstroke of Khalid bin Al-Waleed on the 6th day of the Battle of Yarmuk. We saw him execute a breathtaking maneuver of tactical segregation, driving a massive wedge of 8,000 Muslim horsemen straight through the Roman lines to violently sever the Imperial heavy cavalry from their infantry support. The Roman knights, badly mauled by Khalid, broke formation and galloped away to the north, seeking safety and leaving the battlefield entirely. The chessboard was cleared of the enemy's knights, and the true horror of Yarmuk was about to descend upon the abandoned pawns. This is part 5 of the Battle of Yarmuk, the Edge of the Abyss. The sun begins to lower over the blood-soaked plain of Yarmuk. The wind carries the heavy scent of iron and despair. Over 100,000 Roman foot soldiers, heavily armored and tightly packed, stand abandoned on the field. They have no cavalry to protect their flanks, no fast units to scout their rear. They are blind, immobile, and entirely surrounded by the highly mobile, highly aggressive Arab warriors. Khalid pulls his cavalry back from the pursuit of the Roman horsemen and turns his predatory gaze on the massive stranded squares of the Roman infantry. He signals a general advance. The Muslim right wing, commanded by Amr bin al-As, moves forward, swinging sharply to the left to strike the exposed flank of the Armenians. Simultaneously, Shurabil attacks the front of the Armenian formation. The Roman left wing begins to crumble under the sheer violence of this coordinated infantry assault. Khalid is not just fighting to defeat this army, he's executing a methodical herding operation. He compresses the massive Roman formations from the front and the right flank, pushing them slowly, relentlessly towards the west, towards the terrifying 1,000-foot precipice of the Wadi-ur-Raqqad. I want you to evaluate this strategic positioning. How many commanders in military history have successfully used the very geography of the battlefield as the primary instrument of total annihilation? Share your historical comparisons in the comments below. The Romans retreat in disciplined order. They believe that if they can just maintain their shield wall and reach the bridge across the ravine, they can cross to safety and escape the slaughter. But Khalid's foresight is absolute. The night before, he had dispatched the naked champion, Dirar bin al-Azwar, with 500 elite Muslim horsemen on a wide detour to capture the only crossing over the Wadi-ur-Raqqad. As the exhausted, desperate Romans reach the edge of the abyss, they look across the bridge and see Dirar and his men standing there with drawn swords, blocking the only path to survival. The trap snaps shut. The Muslims charge with a final terrifying cry of Allahu Akbar. The impact is catastrophic. The rear ranks of the Roman army are pushed blindly backwards by the sheer weight and panic of the men in front of them. Rank after rank of heavily armored Imperial soldiers step backwards into the void. Tens of thousands of men, including the elite regiments chained together, cascade down the cliffs of the Wadi-ur-Raqqad, their screams echoing off the canyon walls before being silenced on the rocks below.
It is almost dark when the last of the Romans ceases to move. The day of the raging conflagration has ended. Khalid's greatest battle is over. The imperial army of Caesar has been erased from existence. Pause and consider the magnitude of this victory. A force of 40,000 desert warriors has just annihilated a superpower's army of 150,000. Hit the like button if you believe the Battle of Yarmuk deserves to be studied alongside Cannae and Austerlitz as one of the greatest tactical masterclasses in human history. But the sword of Allah does not rest. Early the next morning, while the rest of the army gathers the immense spoils of war and buries the martyrs, Khalid sets off with the Muslim cavalry on the road to Damascus in the hope of catching up with Mahan. He is hunting the Roman commander-in-chief. Mahan is heartbroken at the total annihilation of his imperial army and not for a moment suspects that a pursuit would be launched by the Muslims. The Roman general is moving without haste. Sometime in the afternoon, Khalid overtakes the Romans a few miles short of Damascus and at once attacks the rear guard. Mahan rushes to the rear guard to supervise its action, and here the king of Armenia, the commander-in-chief of the imperial army, is killed by a Muslim horseman. Soon after his death, the Roman cavalry breaks up into fragmented groups and, riding away to the north and west, escapes the clutches of Khalid. All of Syria is now firmly in Muslim hands. The Roman Empire in the Middle East is irrevocably broken. Emperor Heraclius, recognizing the permanent loss of his prized province, bids a final sorrowful farewell to Syria, fleeing back to Constantinople, where he would eventually die in the year 641. The map of the ancient world has been redrawn in blood and faith. If you are captivated by these deep tactical reconstructions of the early Islamic conquests, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join the House of Wisdom community. The conquest of Syria is complete, but the greatest general of the age is about to face a completely different kind of trial. A trial not of swords, but of politics. Next time on the House of Wisdom, we turn from the battlefields of the Levant to the austere corridors of Medina. We explore the tragic, humiliating end of Khalid bin Al-Waleed, his final dismissal by Caliph Umar, and the ultimate legacy of the Sword of Allah. Do not miss our season finale, The Unkind Cut.